All right, chat. We're gonna be watching Armored Core 6 gameplay trailer. I already said this is weird. Anyways, like I said already, we're gonna watch this. I'm gonna sort of react to it. This is the first time me watching. I haven't watched it at all, and I'm really excited to see what this is. I did said not too long ago that if you guys are wondering what it looks like for someone like me who's been doing hit runs for the past 5 years, to just look at a game and say, yeah, I can do that hitless or not, you're gonna get a little scoop today. And I think this is nice because you might see other people do reacts of their trailer, but I think I bring a interesting side to it because it's coming from the perspective of a no-hit runner. So we're gonna be able to see like how the combat looks and the possibilities of actually not getting hit while doing it. So let's see. I play Gungeon. A little bit. Don't like it. Might play it some other time.
Hello, and thanks for checking out the video. With this footage, we'll introduce our new mech action game, Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon. We hope it gives you an idea of this title's mood and gameplay. In a future where interstellar travel is commonplace, our story begins in a distant star system on the fictional planet Rubicon 3. Our protagonist, an independent mercenary, is smuggled into Rubicon in search of a mysterious new substance known as coral.
Your position is grid 135. Off target, but within permissible range.
Okay.
There's a catapult ahead. Use it to close the gap.
A catapult. I see missiles and ooh.
Huge multi-layered stages will let players make the most of their AC's exceptional movement and attack capabilities.
They're pretty small. I expected them to be a little bit bigger.
Time to fly, 621.
A little Assassin's Creed kind of pointy thing on the left side. Seems like a assault rifle on the right side, and then missiles on the shoulder.
Overwhelm enemies with up to 4 weapons simultaneously, equipped to each arm and shoulder.
Okay.
Liberation front. If we get in the way of our work, eliminate them.
The bullet style is kind of the same as previous ones I see.
Picking up signals from AC Rex. Follow the markers.
Looks pretty good.
Assault Boost is one of the core abilities at your disposal, used for both traversal and combat.
Did you hear anything about what the Corps are up to?
Walk and dash, huh?
They'll be coming soon. Got us on the run.
Not my type of game. Yeah. Huh. The damage was not constant.
Use your AC's mobility to freely navigate the environment.
Oh, that looks cool. I like that.
Use Boost to take the fight to the air, extending combat dimensions beyond the 2D plane.
Is that an independent? Destroy it!
You're outnumbered, 621. Use your missiles.
Yeah, the HUD seems a little bit outdated in my eyes. To be honest.
Use vertical catapults to gain even more altitude and launch into the action from above.
Okay, boss fight.
Against tougher enemies, deal impact damage to their attitude control system to temporarily put them out of action.
The bullets don't have tracking at least, you know?
This is called stagger. Any attack received in this state is considered a direct hit, dealing heavy damage.
Okay, there are staggers. Whoa. I like that. The little bullets are very scary, yeah, for sure.
Assembly lets you exchange various parts of your AC at will, including weapons, frame parts such as the head and core, and internal parts for power management.
Classic.
Assembling an AC to fit your own playstyle and strategy is crucial to success.
Classic. I'll probably be picking up the fastest one.
This one's a request from the Arquebus Group.
Raven, this request comes from Schneider, an Arquebus subsidiary. The mission will take place in the Bonadea dunes of Western Bellius. Our coral investigation there is being blocked by the Strider, a Rubicon Liberation Front mining ship. You are to destroy it. The Strider is a mobile resource base that was extensively weaponized by the Liberation Front. Call it the crowning glory of their efforts to militarize into an anti-corporate force. Your attack will focus on the Eye, a giant laser cannon connected directly to the main generator. It's protected by a shield, which is powered by auxiliary sub-generators. These should be your first targets.
Okay.
This concludes the briefing. Good luck.
Alright, so far what I've seen, this might be From Software's weakest game.
Time for a little self-promotion, 621.
But we'll see. The boss fights looked amazing in the trailer.
Arquebus HQ will
So
be
we'll see it.
sure
We'll
to
see this.
remember your name.
Main system activating combat mode.
Commence mission. First,
Yo.
get through all that dust and make contact with the Strider.
Here, we're up against an enormous weapon that eclipses our AC in size.
Oh, okay. Random movement, aerial movement. Okay, movement looks pretty good now. Yo, the dodge. Are getting barrage of missiles all around.
621, you need to take out one of its legs to bring it to a halt. Confirmed, Strider leg compromised. It's going down. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Wait, only one leg and it fell down? Oh no, wait, it's not enough. Wait. That thing is...
Now we've got a foothold to get on the deck. Grab on and get to work on the sub-generators.
Great. An independent merge. It's the wise guy who decided
Oh, you got allies, huh?
to care of some free lift. Who gives a shit? We'll handle this mission ourselves.
Whoa. We gotta watch
Some
it again.
missions will see you partnered up with ally ACs.
Movement's pretty good. Much more tame than the previous ICs. Nice movement, yeah. So far, it looks no hittable, Chad. Look at that movement. No, I've seen him. I've seen gameplay of it.
Code 7-8, requesting backup.
I can't get through to HQ.
The cavalry isn't coming. Wipe them out, 621.
Oh my god. The pressure?
Your mission objectives will range from protecting targets and information gathering.
Was
to
that
the
a deflect?
annihilation of enemy forces.
50%.
That part looks pretty hard to pull off.
Attacking a watch point. You're incorrigible, Handler Walter. How many of your dogs must I kill before you learn? But I hear you make fine hounds with the right training. Shame you'll have to die here.
2 repair kits remaining.
These mech battles are gonna be a pain.
As your campaign progresses, you'll face a number of dangerous situations.
Because look at the dodges.
And often be
They
pitted
are not
against
acting up
rival AC
sometimes.
pilots in bitter duels. Keep the pressure up in these intense battles. Don't give the enemy a chance at victory.
Looks pretty cool. But that mech battle right there, you saw that you dodge and the enemy was still able to like put damage on you. Ooh, this is the boss fight. I wanted to see this.
Formidable boss encounters also await you at the end of certain missions. These fights are fast and aggressive, presenting a challenge for even the impossibly powerful AC. By observing the enemy's movements and tells, the player can learn as the battle unfolds. And a good commander assembly will often provide the first step to overcoming even the most daunting foes. We invite players to take on this one for themselves and see what else awaits. Thank you for watching. That concludes our introduction to Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon.
That was
We appreciate your continued support and look forward to seeing you at launch.
the areas look beautiful. But something about the gameplay feels odd. Yeah, very cool boss. Yeah, these are the boss fights that we saw in the other trailers. And these boss fights look really cool. Yeah, I really want to play this game when it comes out. One thing that I really did notice is that the boss fight. I think the biggest pain that we're gonna probably see when it comes to Headless is gonna be this guy right here. No, wait, hold on. This guy.
You'll face a number of
So-
dangerous situations.
So basically, fighting. Let me just put a little bit.
Pilots in bitter duels.
So basically, fighting this guy is gonna be a little bit pain.
Pressure up in these intense battles.
Because as you can see right here, even if you dodge, you're still gonna get hit by these things right here. So the only sort of kind of data that I would like to know is like how many defensive options the player has when it comes to dealing with a lot of these things. Because I think the best way to sort of counter this crazy offense that the enemy has for the player is being able to do multiple dashes that give you iframes. To my understanding, there will be iframes. If I'm not mistaken, there will be iframes on the game. I could probably be wrong. But what I am more curious to know is like how many dashes will I be able to do? Because I've seen dashes in different directions, but I don't know if it's like one per direction or one per different type of dash. And that's something that I really want to know. If you can do multiple dashes, then this I don't think this will be that bad. But definitely dealing with this guy seems like a really big pain. Take the CC off. Because playing close ranges doesn't look like a good idea. Playing far ranges, it is. That said, this boss has, as you can see in the top bar right here, it has a stagger meter. So probably the go-to would be like have a weapon with high stagger damage. Play from far, dodge a little bit here and there because it's better to dodge projectiles from far. Build up the stagger meter and then go in from big damage. Is the way I see it. But this is probably gonna be the hardest thing to deal with when it comes to hitless. From the top, I think one of the first things that I noticed is that the for the exception of this first part here, we see like big landscapes, big areas for you to like move around. So you have the option to sort of like target, specific enemies and kill them. As well, since you have missiles, you might be able to shoot from far and kill a few before going in. But one thing I noticed besides this part of the trailer is that the enemies are like very few in between. Not too many grouped up together. So that means you're gonna be able to go in for a quick kill and then move on to the next. And that's not that bad. The other thing I noticed about these enemies is they shoot in like sort of like, I guess the word is batches. I don't know how to say it. So it's like Souls enemies where like they go for an attack, and once that attack is done, they go into like a post animation idle and then another attack. So they're kind of doing the same thing here, and so they kind of like just take a little bit. It's like the pacing, like if you 1v1 one of these guys, you'll see that the pacing is a little bit of like I attack and then just a little bit of a downtime. So that's gonna help a lot when it comes to doing hitless, because you can just wait, try to get a bait and then go in after that. And that means approaching enemies is not going to be that bad. And as you can see, the enemy in the back, once you killed him, this guy just immediately started retreating. Not the player, the enemy in the back, right? And as you can see, just a missiles and done deal. Also, one thing you'll notice is that these fodder enemies, the stagger bar actually fills up pretty quickly. This might be just a bit of a Sekiro kind of thing where like smaller enemies just build quick stagger, and then bigger elites or bosses, the stagger, it takes a while to get. And I think that's great for this game specifically, because the biggest problem you might encounter is trying to get in when you're facing a lot of enemies. Or at least facing an enemy that potentially could be pretty bad for you when you're close range. So having a stagger means that you can go in and go for the kill, free kill, if you're in a 1v1 scenario. The one thing that I want to find out, which I wasn't able to see well, is we'll see here in a bit, is if enemies have a bit of a tell when they're attacking. Because having a tell guarantees you, tells you that you're going to be able to like dodge before an attack comes in. But if there's no tell, then that's going to be one of the major problems you're going to have for doing hitless. So first thing we saw is that there's a group of enemies here, but the player was actually able to kill 2 of them. So that's really good. That's honestly really good. This is not gonna be the only loadout you're gonna have. You're gonna be able to kill enemies from far pretty easily with snipers and stuff. So isolating enemies is gonna be a thing, and you're probably gonna have a big damage for these kind of enemies. So it's not that bad, right? Kills that one and then kills this next one. This one is shooting. To pay attention to the one that's shooting. When it stops, it really didn't do much after that. So there's a bit of an interval where it's like shoot, wait, downtime, shoot again. And you can, as an hit runner, you can kind of play off that pretty easily. The other thing that I've noticed is that the combat is pretty visceral. The missiles connected and they actually got a little bit of a flinch, which is really good. The other thing that I've noticed is that the projectile speed in some of them are actually pretty fast, but enough for not fast enough to connect with you when you're moving sideways. So that's not that bad. This boss fight, let's check this boss fight. So one thing I noticed really quickly here is like if this fight starts like this, it's gonna be really scary. The way I would go about is just go under, and then hopefully the design is not made it so that the bullets go under, because it wouldn't make that much sense. So go under and then get away. But if the fight starts this close, holy Jesus, this is pretty crazy. This will probably be a major turn off for Hitless. Right here. As you can see, your speed is really fast enough to just outpace the bullets. So that's not a big deal. This is the boss fight. It also has a stagger, so you're going to be able to stagger them. As you can see, your movement speed is pretty good, so...
Tougher enemies deal impact damage to their attitude control system to temporarily put them out of action.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good damage. So that's a pretty good dash. And like I said, look at the downtime when I have like
Against tougher enemies,
shooting, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it didn't show there. So shooting here,
put them out of action.
and then stops and doesn't do anything. Although my guy did approach. But it's probably gonna be like that, you know. Maybe just go from far, find something that actually does a lot of stagger, and then go in when it wouldn't, you know, when capable, when possible. So far, some of the attacks that I've seen design-wise are a little bit crazy, but I think this game is kind of giving me some shades of like shoot 'em ups, where if you move well, the bullets, how they're gonna function versus you is gonna be a much more of like an organized pattern versus like everywhere and looking like you know, crazy and shit. I would like to see if the amount of dashes I can do is like part dependent. I guess we're gonna have to see that later, I guess. Have in mind, this game is not directed by Miyazaki. It is actually directed by the guy who did Sekiro, which Sekiro is also a really good game. But one thing I will say is I really want Miyazaki's take on this. Even though that would be a bit too unrealistic considering that Elden Ring was also in the works. But I wanted to see Miyazaki's take on this because Miyazaki, the way Miyazaki goes about designing is he likes to be in the front of everything and making sure that everything is as he sort of foresees it. And that made me realize that Miyazaki was a guy making sure that the combat in Souls games were good and fair. So yeah, Miyazaki not being directing this is kind of a bummer because I really wanted to see what Miyazaki could do combat-wise. But I actually have trust that the guy that did Sekiro can do something good here too, because Sekiro had really good design in terms of like combat fairness. Now here's the part that I actually got a little bit concerned when it comes to the combat. I don't know how well the sound design is in this game, but one thing that you actually have to be careful here is when you're trying to fight this target, this is a big ass enemy, and most of his attacks are actually coming from the top. You don't really have much vision on the top, so the game is the game's job to really be able to tell the player when the attacks are coming. And I do not think we saw that much of it. Let's see. So right there. Right? We didn't saw much of it. We did saw this little like orange icon here, but I'm not entirely sure what this really means. So it could mean that there's like hip damage incoming, because it set it out. There's really no danger right now. The only one shooting is the player, and then it stops now, and then attack comes later. As you can see, both instances we had like missiles firing from the top before, right after the little icon on the top came out. So I'm guessing that's the way it tells the player. It's a little bit subtle if you ask me, though.
601, you need to take out one of its legs to bring it to a halt. Confirmed.
But that's something to consider.
It's going down. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Man, I really like this. I always like mech games with big ass bosses, and you're like a small kind of. Okay, so we have there's 2 indicators here. Let's see if that's true.
And get to work on the sub-generators.
There was nothing. It was I don't know. I don't really know. If there's no indicators of you actually about to take damage, that might suck a little bit. It doesn't have to come from any enemies, but at least those ones in particular, based on how the fight was sort of staged, you don't have vision over those things. So. So there, this is what I'm talking about. This is probably will be the approach when fighting this. So this enemy right here has a stagger, has a health bar, right? Couple shots first. Third shot actually staggers, and then you go in for the kill, right?
Some missions will see you partnered up with LIACs.
But how crazy with how crazy this whole gameplay looks, you'll see a lot of people just playing very shy. I probably would play that way as well if I were to try to do hitless. The way I'm seeing it now, I'd say the hitless is so far doable, but some of the scenarios are really crazy. But it all is going to depend on how much defensive capability, how much defensive tools the player has. If I have like 3 to 4 dashes, then we might be Gucci. If it's just like 1 to 2 dashes, it's gonna be rough. It's just gonna be very rough. Fully refills here, and then watch. This is how much it takes forward. That's how much it took sideways, right? Forward again, and then sideways. Looks like you're gonna be able to do multiple dashes. The way I'm seeing it, it might be the case that you can do as many dashes as you want, but it's gonna be dependent on your stamina. If that's the case, that's great, because I'm pretty sure you're gonna be able to customize it in a way that you can get a lot of stamina for your mech. So this is really interesting. We have a red stamina bar here. So dash again, and then it's in this red state, which I don't understand why. Still capable of doing.
Cavalry isn't coming.
From protecting targets
Yeah, I don't really understand this that much.
and information gathering to the annihilation of enemy forces.
It might be something of like if you get a full red bar and you try to do an action again, you'll get sent to the ground. There is something else here that I don't know if I want to fully watch it, but if you guys know Vati played the game, and someone else that I watch from time to time also played the game. Iron Pineapple. And thankfully, he actually was kind enough to put everything in here. So let's see. I don't know if I want to see the full 27 minutes, but I kind of want to see what kind of things talks about. Let's see. From Surfer Soul Fan perspective, quick review, basic overview, movement and boosting. This is what we're looking for. Targeting and shooting. This is what we're looking for. Weapons, scanning and healing, combat and stagger, attack power and impact. Okay, so Pineapple actually talks about a couple of useful things that will give us a good idea of like whether this game is good for hitless or not. Let's give it a peek.
I wanted to offer a more relatable perspective to everyone who might watch this video. What I mean by that is I'm willing to bet the vast majority of you are fans of Elden Ring and or the other Soulsborne games FromSoft has made over the past 15 years. But like me, you probably haven't touched Armored Core.
Yeah, that's
this
true.
is due to the simple fact of Armored Core being a far more niche series when compared to the record-breaking success of stuff like Dark Souls and Elden Ring.
Not only is far more niche, is we haven't seen a new release of Armored Core since January 2012. It's a pretty old game. It was 1 year after Dark Souls 1. So we haven't seen much of Armored Core ever since.
On the topic of dodge rolls, remember this is Armored Core, not Dark Souls, and there are no iframes. Quick boosts would often help me avoid big damage, but I'd still
There is no iframes. That is a big problem.
sometimes take some damage since we know how to control a mech
No,
now.
it looks pretty hard. Oh yeah, the fact that you can't do iframes is gonna be a pain in the ass. I think that was like the one thing that can seal the deal, because even though you can boost a lot, boosts are not gonna be free. If you boost the wrong direction, it's over. And then you're not gonna be able to like boost one side and then boost the opposite side to kind of like confuse the enemy and prevent them from shooting you.
Shield output is maximized 1 to 2 seconds after deployment. Blocking during this window is referred to as an initial guard, and taking advantage of it can help minimize damage and stagger buildup. I didn't get the chance to experiment with the shield too much, but I found myself pulled away from it since it meant having to sacrifice one of my 4 weapon slots for a purely defensive option.
Okay, so this is a little bit sad. There's definitely a mechanic for like timing your shield, but the reward for it is not that great.
Like I mentioned earlier, I really struggled the first time with the final boss of Chapter 1, but then I replayed the mission after switching to something different and beat it on my first try. If you're curious, I decided to go with a grenade launcher in one hand and a plasma rifle in the other. My logic was that I'd quickly stagger him with the grenade launcher and follow up with the high damage of the plasma rifle. It worked like a charm.
There you go. That's what I was saying, right? Find something to just do impact damage to stagger, and then go in with something like, you know, with big damage, and just rinse and repeat. That's basically what, you know, it worked for him. It's what I expected it to work.
Your build matters a lot here, and unlike a game like Dark Souls or
That said, it's not gonna be the only thing, but you know, there's probably gonna be other ways to doing things, but
Elden Ring, where you usually can...
oh, you can see that in the first interaction, right here. You can see that in the first interaction, dashing correctly actually allowed him to dodge the bullets, right? And then here, I guess here would be wise to do a second one, right, to avoid this as well. But my assumption here is it's actually not going to be that bad, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be pacing to it. And you're going to be able to like see which attacks are coming from, dodge it correctly, and then proceed to attacking. If this game has pacing like in Dark Souls 3, then it's not going to be that bad. The boss fights are not going to be that bad. From my perspective, it's still possible to do this, to see some light in the eyes of Hitless. So I am not counting it off, but the fact that actually there's no iframes, that would probably be a big problem. So we'll see how that goes.